Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. How are you doing all? I hope you are doing well, staying healthy, enjoying life and must be planning to improve your life. Here we are to do so. Here daily we read a chapter of a novel to develop reading habit to improve our English, including reading, writing, speaking, vocabulary at the same time, enhancing our knowledge. As we know, reading is the best practice to develop all these things, which help us in many ways. And reading could be one of the good hobby to make a change in our life. As we have heard from many prominent personalities that books change their life, add values, widen their knowledge, we can learn and live other life by reading a book and get all those experience and learn from their mistake. So why to commit same mistake if someone has already done? So we can learn from their mistake, improve our life. So join me in this journey to become best version of ourselves. Before starting, I would love to hear your thought in comment section. Remember to like, share with your friends and love someone to change their life as well. And don't forget to subscribe my channel. Press the bell icon for daily updates. Today we are going to read part 21st for this novel, that is Your Dreams Are Mine Now, that is written by Ravinder Singh. So let's read this and see what is there for us and what we can learn from this particular chapter. If you haven't watched previous video, you must watch that for the better understanding. So let's read this and see what is there for us.
21. Some time later, after having dropped off the two friends, Arjun parked the vehicle near the entrance of his house. Rupali was eager to meet his mother. She stepped out of the jeep and unlocked the main gate and walked in. Hey, wait for me to come. Guess this is my house. Arjun yelled from behind her. Rupali immediately stopped. She turned back and smiled. Then she waited at the porch for Arjun to join her. The entrance door was open. Arjun stepped inside and called for his mother. Rupali followed him inside the drawing-cum dining room. It was neat and tidy. It had everything a middle-class drawing room comprised of: a sofa set on one end and a dining table on the other, curtains on the windows and showpieces on the shelves of a glass cupboard. Come, Arjun asked Rupali to follow him. Arjun escorted her to a bedroom where his mother sat on the bed busy cutting vegetables and watching a soap on television. Namaste, Auntie. Auntie, Rupali greeted her and touched her feet. Ari bus bus. Jiti raho beta. Arjun's mother blessed her. For the next few minutes, Arjun was quiet, watching the two ladies interact and get to know each other. They talked and soon his mother was asking Rupali all sorts of questions about her family, hometown, etc., which Rupali answered patiently. Arjun's mother didn't forget to mention and praise Rupali's courage in the Mahajan case about which she had come to know about a few months back from her son. Rupali felt happy that she had remembered. Arjun too was happily surprised. The television was still on in the background. Arjun picked up the remote and pressed the mute button. That suddenly turned everyone's attention to what was playing on the screen. Rupali noted that even her mother watches that particular serial which Arjun's mother had been watching. This made her talk about a few more TV serials and she happily recalled the names she had heard from her mother. Arjun got up and was about to walk out of the room when his mother asked where he was going. I need to get some party banners made, Ma. You two have a good time, he said and left. His mother shouted and asked when he would return, to which he shouted his reply from the main gate: he would come back in an hour or so. Once Arjun had left, his mother clasped her hand to her forehead and expressed her disappointment when she said, all the time the only thing he is bothered about is his party work. Sometimes I can't understand whether he joined college to study or to become a politician. Rupali smiled as she listened to a mother's innocent concerns. She thought Rupali too was worried about Arjun, like her. But she realized she was wrong when she heard what Rupali had to say. Auntie, today the country, like never before, needs politicians like your son. Arjun is doing the right thing. For Arjun's mother, it wasn't new to listen to Arjun's friends praising him for the choices he had made in his life. Time and again, various friends and party volunteers who had visited the house in the past had talked about Arjun's ability and his honesty in the arena of campus politics. But then she was a mother who hadn't kept up pace with the changing times. In her mind, she still perceived politicians to be shrewd and involved in every sort of antisocial activity. How could she forget the terrible days when none of the political leaders had turned up to see her ailing husband who had been so loyal to his party? Arjun's absence had given more space for her to open up to Rupali. She had always had these close discussions with Arjun's friends whenever they visited her. She always felt that Arjun kept things to himself. So she never missed an opportunity to know about a different side of Arjun from his friends. Looking at the picture of Arjun's father that hung on the wall towards her left, she mentioned how he once used to work as an active volunteer in a state level party. She told Rupali that her husband was a man of great ideologies and that he had played an active role in extending the reach of the party among the lower class colonies and slums of Delhi. He would rarely ask for party money and would often spend his own savings for party work. She said that in order to campaign for his party, he had given his sweat and blood, so much so that he was once caned by the Delhi police and later booked in the lockup for protesting against the corrupt administration in power. Political prisoner, she said. But then, when times changed and the party he worked for came into power, things too changed along with it. Now it was time for the leaders of his party to fulfill their own interests. That was also the time when Arjun's father discovered that he was suffering from cancer. Even when he was dying, no leader visited him. They were busy counting the money they had been making. It was only his friends and acquaintances who knew him for the man he was, who visited him. Better treatment in a better hospital could have saved him. But they didn't have the money, as a good portion of what Arjun's father had earned, he had already spent on party work. He believed his party too was his family. But unfortunately, the leaders of the party never shared that feeling. Fir kya mila is politics se hami? His mother asked disappointedly about what they had possibly gained from politics. Nothing, she said, looking at the garlanded photograph of him. Ever since then, Arjun's mother had lost faith in politicians. That was a long time back. Her wounds had healed to a large extent. But now, seeing her son get into politics, it seemed to her that he had not learned from his father's mistakes. But that's exactly what Rupali's point was. She felt that because there was a dire need to clean politics of such people, it was essential that good people stepped into the dirty puddle of politics. If good people don't step in, the people of this country will have no option but to choose the bad representatives as their leaders and hand over their fates to them, she felt. Rupali reached out to Arjun's mother and held her hands. Just because something awful has happened in the past doesn't mean the future too would be like that. The warm touch of her hands, that affectionate gesture, and that positivity in her thoughts gave solace to Arjun's mother. She wanted to believe in Rupali's words, but she didn't say anything. Now let me give you a hand with this, Rupali said, picking up the plate of vegetables that Arjun's mother had been cutting from. And despite protests from Arjun's mother, Rupali succeeded in taking over the knife to chop the vegetables. A little later, Rupali helped Arjun's mother with the cooking. She was impressed to see Rupali's expertise with kitchen chores. None of Arjun's friends, including girls who had visited her earlier, knew anything about cooking. The only time they had entered the kitchen was to keep their used dishes after having eaten their meal. Rupali's interests and abilities were in stark contrast to theirs. Rupali's presence in the kitchen made Arjun's mother recall her own daughter, who would also help her with the cooking. She mentioned her to Rupali and talked about dishes she used to make. What nice kheer she used to make, she recalled. But this time Rupali didn't let her turn sad by remembering her daughter. She knew what had happened to her. Arjun had mentioned about her when the two of them had been to the Bangla Sahib Gurudwara. Next time, I will make it for you, she announced and hugged her. Arjun's mother hugged her back and smiled. With that, Rupali smartly changed the course of their discussion. As the two of them cooked the food together, they talked about a lot of other things. At times, Arjun's mother talked about Arjun's childhood and how naughty he used to be then. At times, Rupali talked about her family back at her native place. Half an hour later, when Arjun came back, the three of them ate their lunch at the dining table. Rupali and Arjun sat opposite each other. From the way Arjun's mother spoke about Rupali and her cooking skills, Arjun realized that Rupali had impressed her. Arjun winked naughtily at Rupali, who blushed. He was about to have his first bite when his mother asked him how they would meet. Both Rupali and Arjun looked at each other and laughed. Arjun's mother was now more than curious to know what was so funny about what she had asked. Rupali took the opportunity to tell her all that had happened on her first day in college. Listening to her, Arjun's mother playfully slapped Arjun's shoulder and said, "Stop scaring the girls at least. Ari, she's not among those who get scared. She has instead scared big shots." Arjun laughed and began eating. Late in the afternoon, Rupali and Arjun stood at the gate. Arjun's mother came from inside to see Rupali off. Rupali folded her hands in respect and Arjun's mother ran her hand over her head. She blessed her and asked her to visit her again and, if possible, soon. "You are a nice girl. Mere biti ki yaad dilati tuni, you remind me of my daughter," she said. Rupali warmly hugged Arjun's mother, who continued to pat her head. When Arjun started the engine of his jeep, the two ladies separated. Rupali waved at Arjun's mother and sat next to Arjun. He reversed the jeep and they left the house. "So how was it?" Arjun asked once they were on their way back. "The food?" Rupali asked, deliberately trying to tease him. "Huh? Food? No. Meeting my mom. Hum tik tha. It was okay," Rupali said without enthusiasm. Arjun immediately applied the brakes of his jeep and looked angrily at Rupali. "Okay, okay, Baba. Relax. I was kidding," Rupali replied. "It was great to meet your mom. She's a lovely person, so simple, so loving. I thoroughly enjoyed her company and being in your house today." "You are telling the truth this time, right?" Arjun asked. His face was shining due to the praise. Rupali nodded. A little smile replaced the temporary fake anger on Arjun's face. He resumed driving. For quite some time, Rupali talked about her discussion with his mom with a lot of joy. Arjun felt nice. It was a good idea to invite Rupali to meet his mother. By the time they were close to the campus, the course of the discussion drifted to campus politics and the party's campaign that they were going to kickstart. It happened when Rupali asked Arjun whether he had been able to accomplish the work for which he had gone out before lunch. Arjun said that it would take some time before they got the banners. "There is something I want to talk about, Arjun," Rupali said. "We won't win the election," she said bluntly. It bothered him when Rupali said that. "What? What are you saying?" "See, I don't have any experience in campus politics. But from what I see, you and your group have differences with other student bodies on campus. I have been thinking about this." "What differences? With whom?" Arjun interrupted. He was a little worked up by what he considered as Rupali's negative thoughts, even before she had spent a week working in the party. Rupali put her hand on Arjun's and asked him to calm down. She politely explained her point to Arjun. Rupali pointed out how, on the one hand, they wanted to campaign and win the trust of the students, but on the other, they were disconnected from various student bodies. When Arjun asked if she was talking about other political outfits in the university, she said no. Then, asked Arjun, your differences with the music club. Your stand against students who got admission through the reservation and quota system, Rupali answered. There is no way we are going to shake hands with them to win the elections. But Arjun आप मेरी बात को समझ ही नहीं रहे हो, she said, trying to explain her point. I am an active member of the music club. None of our members hates you or your party. I mean our party. She immediately corrected herself. Rather, a majority of them hate the party in power right now, for they ditched the music club last year and played opportunistic politics by telling the students in due that the club supported them. Trust me on this, Arjun. The music club would still want to remain apolitical. However, the club wants to contribute to a change in the university. I realized that it too has common goals like that of our party. The music club is the most important wing of Dew's entire cultural club that also includes theatre groups. If we work with them, there is a lot we can achieve. Am I making any sense? Are you still angry? Rupali quickly checked before explaining further. Go on, Arjun nodded. Great. So, I was saying that there is a lot that is common between the cultural club and you. The music club wants to undo the image that they secretly supported the current student union. Tenzing, who leads our club, also represents our college at the due level. He is fighting a battle on behalf of the entire Northeast student community, which Dew still doesn't consider as an inclusive part. They are looked upon as if they are not one among us. It is an important issue, and if we, as a political outfit, make Dew a level playing field for students from every ethnicity, and include this issue in our agenda, we will be able to grab the support of the entire student body from the Northeast. The theatre groups have always taken up these burning issues in their street plays and dramas, abolishing the reservation system and awarding seats only on merit has been the message of various members of this group. This is exactly what you have been fighting for. This is why you joined student politics in the first place. Demanding that reservation be abolished means inviting the wrath of those who got admitted only on the basis of the quota system, and they certainly won't vote for you. They will resist and endorse other political outfits which are in favor of reservation. Listening to Rupali's thoughts, Arjun didn't realize when he had slowed the pace of his jeep. Rupali's points were important. The way Rupali had connected the dots made a lot of sense. He could see that Rupali's idea was to get the support of smaller independent bodies that were apolitical in nature and, therefore, could become mouthpieces of their party's ideas. In an academic environment, creative groups play an important role in spreading the message. That's exactly what Rupali had pointed at. And just because they are not affiliated to any particular party, people would be more open to understanding a neutral point of view and then synthesize their decision about whom to vote for, she said in the end. By the time the two of them arrived at the hostel, Arjun was game to discuss Rupali's point of view with the others in the party. He had already begun analyzing the pros and cons of the discussed approach. Working on removing differences was definitely not going to be an overnight task. It needed mutual trust and respect. Rupali was his biggest hope in bridging the gap between his party and her music club. That day, Arjun again felt grateful that he had Rupali in his life and now in his mission. Just when Rupali was about to get off the jeep, Arjun asked her for Tenzing's number. Rupali smiled and searched for it in her phone book. Arjun pulled his phone out of his pocket to take the number when he saw an unread message. It was from his mother, a rare thing, for she always preferred calling Arjun rather than texting him. To add to his thrill, it was in English. a language she wasn't quite comfortable in. He blushed on reading it and told Rupali that there was something his mom had texted him. You hit the bullseye in the first meeting, he said and couldn't stop smiling. What is it? Rupali asked excitedly. Arjun read the message his mother had sent. I like your this friend. What about you?